Welcome to the Introduction to Python. Today, we'll dive into how to install Python on your system and cover the basic syntax you'll need to get started with writing your first Python scripts. Whether you are new to programming or just looking to sharpen your skills, this session will give you a solid foundation. Before we can start coding in Python, we need to get it installed on your system. Don't worry, the process is straightforward. First, head over to the official Python website, python.org, and download the latest version. It's usually a good idea to choose the most recent stable version. Once you've downloaded the installer, run it and follow the on-screen instructions. Make sure to check the box that says, Add Python to Path. This will allow you to use Python directly from your terminal or command prompt. After installation, you can verify it by opening your terminal and typing Python version to ensure everything went smoothly. Now, let's write our first Python program, an all-time classic. Hello, world. In terminal type Python. Now you are in Python environment. Now type print, hello world. This program is a simple way to confirm that Python is running properly on your system. In Python, we use the print function to output text. Alright, folks, now that we've got a taste of Python, let's get our environment set up. We're going to use Visual Studio Code, or Visual Studio Code for short. It's a fantastic editor for Python, and it's free, lightweight, and packed with awesome features. Don't worry, I'll walk you through it step by step. Let's get started. First things first, let's get Visual Studio Code installed. Open your web browser and head over to code.visualstudio.com. You'll see a big download button, and it'll automatically suggest the version for your operating system, whether you are on Windows, Mac OS, or Linux. Go ahead and click that download button. It's the easiest click and wait you'll ever make. Once the installer finishes downloading, go ahead and open it. When you open VS Code, you'll be greeted by a clean interface that's ready for action. It's like a blank canvas, only cooler. Now that we've opened Visual Studio Code, let's set it up for Python development. Trust me, this is the easy part. First, we need to install the Python extension for Visual Studio Code. This gives us all the Python-specific features, like syntax highlighting, code suggestions, and more. Click on the extensions icon in the left sidebar. It looks like a little square with 4 squares inside it. In the search bar, type Python. You should see a result from Microsoft. Go ahead and click Install on that one. This extension will do wonders for your coding experience. You'll see automatic code completions, debugging options, and much more. Let's make sure everything is working. One thing that makes Python unique compared to other programming languages is how it uses indentation to define blocks of code, rather than relying on curly braces. So, when you write an if statement or a loop, Python knows what belongs inside those structures by how far indented the code is. Notice the indentation under the if statement. This tells Python that the print function is part of the if block. Keeping this consistent is key to writing readable and functional Python code. So, what exactly is Python? No, it's not a snake, unless you are trying to make your code really slithery. Python is actually a high-level, interpreted programming language. It's widely used for web development, data analysis, machine learning, and so much more. Basically, if it's tech-related, there's a good chance Python's involved somewhere. Now, let's talk about syntax. Don't worry, syntax sounds scary, but it's just the rules that help us write Python code in the right way. Think of it like the grammar of programming. And just like how bad grammar in a sentence makes your teachers cringe, bad syntax in Python will make your computer cringe. Don't worry, though, we'll keep things simple. Key elements we'll cover today include keywords, operators, statements, and a lot of other things that sound complicated but are pretty easy to understand once you get into it. Now, let's talk about comments. No, I'm not talking about, why does my code keep crashing? Type of comments, those belong in therapy. I mean, actual comments in your code, which are used to explain what's going on. So that later, when you look at your code, you're not like, what was I thinking? See, it's like having little notes in your code's notebook. Okay, so let's talk about variables. These are like little containers that store information for you. In Python, you can store all kinds of things, numbers, text, even lists of stuff. You can call your variables anything you like. Just don't call them potato, unless that's actually your goal. We've got several data types. Numbers like integers, int, and floating point numbers, float. Strings like text, hello, world. Lists to store multiple items, like a grocery list. Dictionaries, key-value pairs, like a map with names and addresses. The fun part? Python doesn't even need you to tell it what type of data you're storing. Python just knows. It's like the psychic of programming languages. Let's get a little mathematical. Operators in Python are like the tools in your programming toolbox. You've got your basic arithmetic operators. Plus, addition, subtraction, asterisk, multiplication, division. And don't forget about comparison operators. Python can also ask, is this equal? Or, is this bigger than that? Like a picky parent. Is equal to, equal. Greater than. And logical operators, which are like the bouncers of your code, only letting things pass if they meet certain conditions. And, or, not. It's all the stuff you used in high school math class. But now, it's for real. Now, onto decisions. Just like in life, Python has to make decisions. It does this using conditionals. For example, if it's raining outside, Python might decide it's a good idea to stay indoors. If this happens, run this code. Otherwise, run this other code. So it's kind of like, if this, do that. If not, do something else. Decisions. Alright, time to repeat yourself. Because Python loves loops. If you need to do something over and over again, like, let's say you're sending emails to 100 people, lucky you can use loops. For example, a for loop will go through a sequence and perform an action. For item initable, hash repeat code for each item. And if you want to keep doing something while a condition is true, you can use a while loop. Just make sure your condition eventually becomes false, unless you want your code to do the same thing forever, which, trust me, you don't. That's a wrap. Python syntax is simple and easy to get the hang of, kind of like learning to ride a bike. Once you get the basics down, you'll be coding like a pro. Keep practicing and soon you'll be solving all kinds of problems, one line of code at a time. Remember, there's no rush. Just take it one step at a time and enjoy the ride.